Level 1. Subtle Suggestion, Breaking the Senses. Let's start with the very first and lightest level of Genjutsu. Level 1 is all about disruption. It's like a whisper in the dark, or a quick flash in the corner of your vision, just enough to throw you off balance, just enough to make you second guess what's real. This isn't about big flashy illusions yet. It's more like a sharp little jab at your peace of mind. Look at the iconic battle between Kakashi and Zabuza. Using his Sharingan, Kakashi cast a very simple Genjutsu that made Zabuza believe Kakashi could see the future. For a second, Zabuza thought Kakashi had launched the Water Dragon bullet before he did. That wasn't some complex magic. It was a clean, subtle strike to mess with Zabuza's head. Or remember when Sasuke first met Sai? One intense stare, just one, and Sai dropped to the ground without anyone even touching him. That's the power of basic Genjutsu. It doesn't need to be dramatic. It just needs to be strong enough to shake the opponent's confidence. These techniques quietly target your subconscious. They suggest a world that feels slightly off. They feed on uncertainty, which is especially easy to trigger when two opponents don't know each other well yet. It's that weird, uncomfortable feeling, like you know something's wrong, but you just can't tell what it is. And that's the danger. Even a tiny crack in your awareness can totally lead to a mental domino effect. If you can make your enemy hesitate first, even just for a second, you gain the upper hand. Level 1. Genjutsu may seem simple, but that's exactly what makes it powerful. Still, this level mostly works on opponents who are weaker than you, or around your level. It's too soft to use against someone way stronger, because strong opponents tend to be very confident, and confident people are way harder to scare. Level 2. Calculated Distraction, Manipulating the environment and basic senses. Now we move into Level 2, the point where Genjutsu really starts to show its power. This is where it evolves from just disrupting your focus into carefully calculated distraction. At this level, illusions become more visible, more real, but still stay within what your brain can accept as expected. There are quite a few techniques at this stage. Take demonic illusion, false surroundings technique for example. This Genjutsu casts a visual illusion over a whole area, making it look like a completely different place. It's super effective. Anyone who enters the area gets caught in the illusion and sees a fake environment. Totally confusing. Then there's the Sly Mind Affect technique. This one makes you think you're walking in a straight line, when in reality, you're just walking in circles. Like literally, just going round and round. And most of the time, the victims don't even realize it. Team 7 only figured it out after seeing the same dead centipede Naruto had killed hours ago. That's classic Genjutsu, messing with your senses just enough to waste your time and energy. And now, let's talk about the Mist Servant technique, a Genjutsu that many ninjas totally underestimate until it's too late. This jutsu creates creepy, ghost-like shadow figures from the surrounding environment. They move slowly toward the target, provoking them to attack. But here's the scary part. Every time you hit one, your attack just passes through like it's air. And then, instead of disappearing, the shadow doubles. This is pure psychological warfare. Even when your brain knows it's not real, your survival instinct still tells you to keep fighting. Each useless attack drains your stamina, burns your focus, and makes you panic just a little more. Meanwhile, the real ninja is hiding nearby, patiently waiting for the perfect moment to strike. Imagine fighting an enemy you can't touch, but your mind believes they're a real threat. It creates this totally helpless and disoriented feeling. Weak-willed people might completely freak out, but strong fighters will pause, adapt, and look for the trick behind the illusion. Level 2. Genjutsu is all about distraction and erosion. It doesn't try to crush you right away, it slowly wears you down. Like a lone wolf in the shadows, it's quiet, strategic, and always waiting for the right moment to pounce. Kinda ninja-like thing, isn't it? Level 3. Personal Lockdown Genjutsu. Now we're diving into the real core of Genjutsu. Techniques that don't just distract you, they trap you. They shut you down. Let's look at the moment when Kurenai faced off against Itachi. Kurenai, a jonin who actually specializes in Genjutsu, confidently used the tree-binding death technique to hold Itachi in place. To be fair, this Genjutsu can be super effective in one-on-one fights, for interrogation, or even for surprise attacks. For a moment, massive tree branches wrapped around Itachi, locking him down. The only problem was that she used it on Itachi, a literal Genjutsu god. So of course, it didn't work, and he reversed it on her without even blinking. But nothing shows this level better than the time Itachi faced Orochimaru. With just one look, Itachi completely froze Orochimaru, one of the legendary Sannin, in place. Orochimaru felt like huge heavy stakes were pinning his body to the ground. He literally couldn't move. It was total suppression, like his entire soul had been frozen in time. And when he did try to break free, Itachi calmly walked over and took one of his arms. At this point, Genjutsu isn't just messing with your senses. It's becoming direct combat. It's used to control, not just confuse. Escaping this level of Genjutsu? That takes serious skill and serious mental strength. Only powerful ninjas with strong minds can push through it. Level 3. Genjutsu is all about full lockdown. It doesn't waste time. It hits fast, hard, and leaves no room to breathe. Level 4. Emotional manipulation, spreading fear and despair. Now we've stepped into the most dangerous territory of Genjutsu, where illusion becomes a brutal psychological weapon. This level doesn't just trick your senses, it breaks your mind and crushes your heart. At this stage, Genjutsu masters don't fight you with power. They make you fall apart from the inside. One early example is when Kakashi used the demonic illusion, hell viewing technique on Sakura. Kakashi knew she cared deeply about Sasuke, so he showed her a vivid illusion of Sasuke dying right in front of her. That fear, pulled from the deepest part of her soul, was pushed to the extreme. It was too much. She passed out instantly. A bit more subtle, but even more painful, was when Itachi used Ephemeral on Naruto. Under the Genjutsu, Naruto saw the people he loved the most appear all over his body, yelling at him, blaming him, shaming him. It tore him apart from the inside. The guilt hit so hard, he even started attacking himself. No one touched them. No one laid a hand on them. But they still felt attacked. They felt abandoned, helpless, and completely overwhelmed by emotions they couldn't control. That's the terrifying beauty of Level 4 Genjutsu. It doesn't break your body. It makes you break yourself. Level 5. Creating a perfect illusionary world. Level 4 was already terrifying, but even then, you could still break free with enough willpower or with help from your teammates. But with Itachi's Tsukuyomi, there's no escape. This Genjutsu deserves its own level. When Itachi used Tsukuyomi on Kakashi and Sasuke, what we saw was more than just an illusion. It was a fully crafted masterpiece of mental torture. Inside Tsukuyomi, Itachi becomes a god. He can control everything, even time itself. A few real-world seconds stretch into days of intense, personal suffering. Kakashi experienced hour after hour of pain, stabbed endlessly by long blades, all inside his mind. He didn't just see the pain, he felt every second of it. His body couldn't move, but his mind was trapped in an infinite loop of agony. For Sasuke, it was even worse. He had to watch the massacre of his entire clan, again and again, hundreds of thousands of times. But Itachi didn't stop at visuals. Sasuke could smell the blood, hear the final breaths, and feel the cold presence of death. He lived every moment in brutal detail. That's the terrifying strength of Tsukuyomi. It doesn't just show you horror, it forces you to live it. At this point, Genjutsu becomes a complete world of its own, fully ruled by the caster. The victim doesn't just see illusions, they fully experience them, like it's part of their real life. When Kakashi and Sasuke finally escaped the illusion, they weren't just physically drained. They were deeply damaged, mentally and emotionally. And there's no counter Genjutsu for Tsukuyomi. There's no way to break it mid-cast. The only option is rest, recovery, and healing from the trauma it leaves behind. In fact, the only known person who could even ease the pain caused by Tsukuyomi was Tsunade. Level 6. Mind Control. Rewriting personal history. This is where Genjutsu stops targeting what you see or feel and starts invading your memories and your will. At this level, the illusion doesn't just fool you, it redefines you. It's terrifying because once your entire consciousness is rewritten, even the question, "Who are you?" becomes impossible to answer. Kotoa Matsukami, used by Shisui Uchiha, is the absolute peak of dark psychological warfare. It doesn't force anyone to do something. Instead, it plants an idea so deeply inside their mind that they genuinely believe it's their own. They act with full intention and complete sincerity, as if this new goal was always their deepest motivation. Most genjutsu makes the victim resist, at least a little, but not this one. The target doesn't even know they've been manipulated. There's nothing to fight against, because from their point of view, everything feels real. This genjutsu has only been used twice, and honestly, its control was stronger than even perfect Edo Tensei. Of course, Kotoa Matsukami isn't the only mind control technique used by the Uchiha. Some are less refined, but still dangerously effective. When Obito used Genjutsu to manipulate the fourth Mizukage, we saw what happens when someone's history is completely rewritten. Yagura, once a kind and capable leader, became a cruel dictator. The Hidden Mist entered a bloody era, ruled by fear and death. During that time, Yagura was just a hollow puppet, carrying the blame for everything Obito did behind the scenes. Another chilling example, when Obito and Madara used Genjutsu to control the Nine Tails during the attack on Konoha. Some people say this was more like direct control than illusion, but that's not entirely true. Kurama is a living, thinking being with his own will. And yet, under this Genjutsu, he became a full puppet, acting completely against his instincts. His identity and intentions were overridden. You can even see it in his eyes. When controlled, they change to the Sharingan pattern. Only when the Genjutsu is broken do his eyes return to normal. This level of Genjutsu defines the victim using false memories and fake beliefs, and the worst part is, they never realize it. It's tragic, and honestly, it explains why someone like Kasame would rather die for a world built on truth, no matter how painful that truth is, and for that, he's deeply respected. Level 7. Reality Sync, turning illusion into reality. This is where the line between illusion and reality completely disappears. We're talking about reality synchronization, the ability to turn illusions into reality, and reality into illusion. Yeah, this is Izanagi. Izanagi is a forbidden technique used only by those with the Sharingan. At this point, it's no longer Genjutsu in the traditional sense. Izanagi actually rewrites reality itself. When Danzo used it, his death became an illusion, and his survival became the truth. Just imagine, for one moment you die. But because of Izanagi, that death becomes nothing more than a bad dream. You wake up, you're alive, you're fine. The only cost is that you permanently lose the Sharingan you just used. But that cost isn't small, because the Sharingan is the very source of so many powerful illusions, including all the Genjutsu levels we've discussed before. That's why even Madara, who lived for centuries and knew every jutsu under the sun, only used Izanagi when absolutely necessary. The price makes Izanagi a desperate last resort weapon, a final gamble to stay alive. And from that power, we got some of the most insane plot twists. Danzo's fake-out death, Obito's comeback during his fight with Konan Madara's resurrection in full prime overpowered? Definitely. Even the legendary jutsu genius Tobirama got played by this technique. But whenever we talk about Izanagi, we have to talk about Izanami too. Izanami was created specifically to punish those who abused Izanagi. If Izanagi lets you rewrite fate, then Izanami traps you in a loop of fate. Kabuto experienced it firsthand. He was caught in an endless time loop, forced to face himself over and over again. Izanami doesn't kill you, it makes you live with the truth of who you are. That truth, for many, is harder to face than death. Technically, Izanami is just a one-target controlled genjutsu, but it's so unique that no outsider can break it. And the twist? There is a way out, but the exit is inside the illusion, and only the victim can find it. That's why this level is only for those who are truly alone in their power. Like the Uchiha clan, shinobi who carry strength that scales with their suffering. Their power always matched their will. And that's the tragic beauty of these legendary warriors, the descendants of Indra. Level 8, Wide Area Illusion. This is the level for those who can fight the world alone. Level 8 is when a ninja becomes a true overlord of the battlefield. It's no longer just one-on-one. Now, you turn the entire combat zone into your personal stage. One flute tune, one chant, one wave of darkness, and the whole world becomes yours. Let's start with Tayuya from the Sound 4. All she needed was her cursed flute. With her demonic flute phantom sound chains, she trapped Shikamaru in a disturbing illusion. He couldn't move, couldn't think clearly, his body froze, and his mind spiraled into chaos. Now imagine if there were 10 Shikamarus, or 100. They'd all fall just the same. She only lost because Tamari showed up, and, well, win kinda hard counters sound. Then we have the two elder toads, Fukasaku and Shima. Their frog song is an ancient sage art, a duet that channels nature energy into a genjutsu so powerful it can paralyze any opponent. Their synchronized voices send chakra straight into the enemy's brain, short-circuiting their senses. Breaking free? Almost impossible without high-tier abilities. Kabuto, meanwhile, was more elegant. During the Chunin exams, he used Temple of Nirvana technique to put an entire stadium to sleep. All it took was a rain of illusory feathers, soft, silent, and terrifyingly effective. Only elite shinobi like Kakashi and Guy could resist. That's a large-scale genjutsu, refined, efficient, and it's an A-rank jutsu, no joke. And then there's Hashirama, the first Hokage. His Bringer of Darkness technique blanketed entire areas in pure darkness. It blinded everyone inside, making them panic, disoriented, and vulnerable. And guess who his opponent was? Uchiha Madara, wielder of some of the most broken dojutsu in history. This jutsu completely neutralized visual powers like Sharingan and Rinnegan and Byakugan. Now, the anime gave this jutsu to Tobirama instead, probably to boost his image as the ultimate Uchiha Slayer. But in the manga, it's 100% Hashirama's technique. Also, Hashirama could enter Sage Mode, so he had no trouble fighting in complete darkness. That's what makes him so insanely dangerous at this level. Level 8 isn't about finesse anymore. It's about turning entire armies into playthings. It's the power to control crowds, collapse formations, and dominate the battlefield. In this world, you're not just a shinobi, you're the director, and everyone else is just part of your illusion. Level 9, Infinite Tsukuyomi, the final dream. We've now reached the ultimate level of Genjutsu, Infinite Tsukuyomi. At this point, it's no longer just a technique. It's a full-scale reconstruction of reality. Once it's activated, the entire shinobi world is swallowed into an eternal dream. This is the most powerful genjutsu ever created, not because of how it attacks one mind, but because it targets all of humanity. Everyone is trapped inside their own personal illusion, a perfect dream where every wish comes true. Shino discovers new insects. Asuma is still alive, guiding Team 10. The people they lost all return. It sounds peaceful, but that's exactly what makes it so terrifying. Even Itachi's Tsukuyomi, when used on Izumi, only showed her a beautiful life that he imagined. Infinite Tsukuyomi is far more dangerous. It reaches into the deepest desires of each victim and builds a custom-made world around them. Each person ends up isolated, locked inside a dream of their own making. No pain, no effort, no need to grow, just comfort. And the scariest part, you may choose to be locked inside, Madara truly believed this was his final gift to mankind. He thought he was saving the world from war, grief, and loss. And honestly, it really makes sense. That's what makes him one of the greatest villains in shonen history. But real strength doesn't come from hiding. It comes from facing pain, choosing reality, and continuing to fight anyway. Choose the real world and live, even if it hurts. Because that's what it means to be a warrior. Ninja missions. Let's rewind a bit. Before Rasengan, Rinnegan, or ramen breaks, there was something even more important. Missions. Missions are the lifeblood of the hidden villages. They pay the bills, keep ninjas sharp, and honestly, give the story something to do when people aren't busy unlocking god-tier powers. You know, when your average genin had a 50-50 chance of surviving breakfast, missions were serious business. During the Second and Third Great Ninja Wars, even a minor failure could shake an entire nation. One of the most tragic examples, Sakumo Hatake, Kakashi's dad. The guy was so legendary they called him the White Fang of the Leaf. But when he chose to save his teammates instead of completing the mission, he was shamed so badly he took his own life. That wasn't just a failure. It was a brutal reminder of how cold and unforgiving the shinobi world could be during war. Now fast forward to the Boruto series. Still, one thing hasn't changed. Money talks. Missions are priced by risk. The more dangerous, the more expensive. But here's the kicker. If the client lies about the danger level, things can go from cat rescue to deathmatch real quick. Remember Tazuna? The bridge builder who said, "It's a simple escort," then threw Team 7 into a boss fight with Zabuza? Yeah, that's why every village now has stricter policies. Protect the ninja first, get paid second. So now that we've set the stage, it's time to break down the ninja mission ladder, step by step. From D-rank chores that make you question your life choices, to S-rank missions that could blow up a continent. D-rank. Yes, the mighty D-rank missions. The proud tradition of chasing cats, picking weeds, and babysitting cranky toddlers. You thought becoming a ninja meant instant hero status? Nope. You're getting paid in pocket change to walk dogs. Welcome to the grind. D-rank missions are how every genin earns their stripes. And by stripes, I mean scratches, usually from a very angry cat named Tora. These tasks are deliberately boring, with no real combat involved, and they pay anywhere from 5,000 to 50,000 ryo. Think of it as the internship phase of the shinobi world. No glory, just grunt work. But here's the thing, these missions aren't pointless. They teach new ninjas discipline, teamwork, and how to follow mission protocols. Plus, it helps weed out the drama queens. You know, the ones yelling, "I want to fight an S-rank criminal already." Yeah, Naruto. Team 7 is assigned to find Tora, the fire daimyo's wife's spoiled cat. Seems easy, right? Wrong. That feline menace has evaded Anbu-level traps and scratched Naruto like it owed him money. Meanwhile, Sasuke barely blinks, and Sakura pretends this is totally fine. It's hilarious, but it also gives us our first look at their team dynamic. Naruto's chaotic energy, Sasuke's cool detachment, and Kakashi's infinite patience EEM. Before we get to tailed beasts and interdimensional alien stuffs, now in Boruto, D-rank missions haven't gone extinct. They've evolved. Thanks to technology, the new Team 7 occasionally uses drones for deliveries or remote tracking. Still boring? Maybe. But it's a new flavor of boring. At least the cats don't come with explosion tags now. C-rank. Now we're talking. C-rank missions, where things go from "please water my garden" to "bandits might stab you." These are where genin get their first taste of real danger, and where some might realize ninja life isn't all cool headbands and edgy monologues. C-rank missions pay around 30,000 to 100,000 ryo. They usually involve light combat, like fending off thugs, escorting minor clients, or delivering sensitive items. Still not world-ending stuff, but way riskier than chasing Tora 2.0. These missions are a test of everything genin learned during D-rank grunt work. Can you fight under pressure? Make decisions fast? Not scream when kunai start flying? No? Then welcome to a teachable moment. In the legendary Land of Waves arc, Team 7 accepts what's supposed to be a C-rank escort mission. Protect Tazuna, a bridge builder from the Land of Waves. Seems simple enough, until it isn't. Turns out, Tazuna lied about how dangerous the mission really was. What began as a babysitting job turned into a full-blown A-rank death march. Enter Zabuza and his partner Haku, who looks like a Disney prince, but hits like a truck. Suddenly, Naruto's screaming, Sasuke's Sharingan awakens, and Kakashi's pulling out the big guns. This mission changed everything. It gave us Naruto's first burst of Nine Tails chakra. It gave Sasuke his first real rival. And it gave us the iconic fight on the unfinished bridge, a moment that turned Team 7 from rookies into real shinobi. Also, let's not forget Haku's tragic loyalty and Zabuza's final stand. Tears. So many tears. C-rank missions are the bridge, literally and figuratively, between innocence and chaos. You think you're ready, then boom. Demon brothers, hidden mist assassins, and emotional trauma. From grocery runs to life lessons. The jump is fast. Blink, and you'll miss the moment Naruto went from goofball to hero in the making. B-rank. Now we're getting serious. B-rank missions are where the kitty gloves come off, and suddenly, teamwork isn't just a school slogan, it's what keeps you alive. These missions pay between 150,000 to 200,000 ryo and typically go to Chunin level ninja. Why? Because now we're talking espionage, bodyguard duty, and full-on lethal combat. You're no longer catching cats, you're making decisions where someone might not come back. But once in a while, Genin teams do get pulled into these missions. Usually, it's when they're under the supervision of a Junin, or when the village is understaffed and desperate. Either way, these jobs are meant to sharpen high-level skills: strategy, leadership, adaptability, and the most underrated of all, not panicking. Let's talk about one of the most legendary B-rank missions in Naruto, the Sasuke retrieval arc. Shikamaru, newly promoted to Chunin and probably still half asleep, is suddenly leading a squad of Naruto, Kiba, Neji, and Choji to bring Sasuke back before he joins Orochimaru's little snake cult. Each of them ends up in a one-on-one fight against Orochimaru's Sound Four. This arc is about trust, leadership, sacrifice, and how chasing after a friend can tear a whole team apart. This mission changes everyone involved and leaves Team 7 broken. Now jump to Boruto. We see Team 10, Shikadai, Inojin, and Chocho, get their own taste of a B-rank nightmare. They're escorting a caravan through dangerous territory. But surprise, tech-enhanced bandits crash the party. It's a full-on Mujina bandits ambush. What makes this mission special is how Shikadai steps up. Like his dad, he thinks 2 steps ahead, using traps, clones, and pure brainpower to outmaneuver enemies who've got high-tech weapons. The mission blends classic ninja tactics with new-gen tech, and it's a showcase of the Ino Shikacho legacy in full force. In Boruto's era, B-rank missions are harder to come by for Jonin. Villages are more cautious, stricter with assignments. So yeah, B-rank isn't flashy like S-rank, but it's where ninja really prove they've got more than just chakra and cool outfits. They've got brains, guts, and bonds that don't break under pressure. A-rank. Alright, now we enter the deep end, the A-rank missions, where mistakes cost lives and your enemies probably have their own theme music. These jobs pay anywhere from 150,000 to a whopping 1 million Ryo, depending on how dangerous things get. They're usually reserved for Junin, or elite Chunin. Basically, people who don't flinch when someone yells, "ambush." What makes A-rank missions so intense isn't just the combat, it's the stakes. These missions can involve VIP escorts, assassination targets, or operations that affect entire nations. Failure doesn't just mean defeat, it could trigger political chaos or outright war. One standout A-rank mission: the Akatsuki investigation during the Kazekage rescue arc. After Gaara is abducted by Deidara, a team of Junin, including Asuma Sarutobi, Kurenai, and Kakashi, is deployed to infiltrate the Land of Wind and gather intel on the Akatsuki's movements. This mission starts off as reconnaissance, but quickly escalates into something far more intense. While Kakashi and Team 7 handle the frontline assault against Deidara and Sasori, Asuma's unit moves strategically, staying in the shadows, relaying information, and coordinating with the Sand Village's defenses. It's classic A-rank stuff: stealth, pressure, and a growing sense that something much darker is at play. The operation also sets the stage for the deadly clash between Asuma and Haiden, a grim prelude to one of the most emotional arcs in the series. These kinds of missions test more than jutsu. They test judgment, leadership, and the cost of being too close to the fire. Now flip to Boruto, Team 7 with Konohamaru, to investigate the Kara organization. And yeah, this mission starts out as intel gathering, but quickly spirals into an all-out fight against Io and Boro, 2 terrifying enemies with cybernetic upgrades and deadly chakra tech. It's here that Sarada shows leadership skills way beyond her age, while Boruto learns how to use ninja tools without becoming a walking vending machine. The stakes are high, the enemies are no joke. And suddenly, being a genin feels like being in a boss rush mode. These 2 missions, one old school, one high tech, both show the core of A-rank missions. They test everything: your judgment, your fighting skill, and your ability to stay cool when everything is exploding around you. So, yeah, A-rank isn't a promotion. It's a responsibility. You don't just get stronger, you carry more weight. Every move matters, every failure echoes. If B-rank tests your strategy, A rank tests your soul. S rank. It's time to enter the realm of the ridiculous. The missions that make even seasoned Junin gulp. S rank. The ultimate test. The big leagues. The, if you mess this up, entire countries might collapse tier. S rank missions pay at least 1 million ryo. And sometimes more if there's alien combat or time travel involved. Only top-tier Junin or Kage-level shinobi are even considered for these. These jobs are so dangerous, they often don't even make it onto the public mission board. We're talking secret scrolls, black ink, and meetings in candlelit rooms. What makes S rank so insane isn't just the difficulty, it's the stakes. These missions are tied to global balance. If something goes wrong, we're not just talking about one dead client. We're talking war, rebellion, or a giant rabbit goddess eating the planet. Let's start with a mind-melting example. Sasuke's investigation of Kaguya's dimensions. After Kaguya is sealed, Sasuke goes on a solo tour of her alien reality real estate, hopping through dimensions filled with traps, hostile creatures, and Otsutsuki secrets. He's basically Naruto's interdimensional insurance policy. This mission isn't about gold or politics. It's about saving the entire planet from another god invasion. And Sasuke does it without backup, snacks, or a GPS. Respect. Back in Naruto, the Uchiha clan was once the strongest in Konoha. Hiashi may have claimed the Hyuga were the most powerful, but that only came after the Uchiha were gone. With their numbers, talent, and the legendary Sharingan, erasing this clan in a single night was unthinkable. No ordinary ninja could have pulled it off. Even if the village wanted to eliminate the Uchiha, it would have taken a full-scale operation with no guarantee of success. The risk of civil war was very real. That's why this mission went far beyond a typical S rank. It was political, emotional, and nearly suicidal. And yet, Itachi did it. But he didn't act alone. Obito made the massacre swift and disorienting. Still, even Obito's power wouldn't have been enough without Itachi. As a trusted prodigy within the clan, he had full access. No one suspected him. Not even Fugaku Uchiha, he would have fought back. He had power, but he didn't. When the moment came, he chose not to raise his hand against his son. Whether out of sorrow, respect, or resignation, he let Itachi strike. That night was a tragedy built on silence, trust, and betrayal. What do these missions all have in common? Sacrifice, secrecy, soul-crushing pressure. Shinobi rule number 4 becomes more than a rule here. It's survival. Mission first, everything else second. That's why Kisame Hoshigaki killed himself before leaking intel. That's why shinobi like Sasuke walk alone. Failure isn't an option, and even success might come with a body count. In Boruto's era, S-rank missions are less about ninja-on-ninja combat and more about existential threats. Otsutsuki aliens, Kara's biotech, rogue ninja with USB drives full of doom. The battlefield has changed, and so have the missions. These are the jobs no one brags about, no one hears about. The kind of missions that get erased from history, and yet they're the ones that decide the future. Mercenary missions. All right, let's talk about the missions that don't make it into the village reports, the ones done in the shadows, for shady reasons, with shady rewards. Mercenary missions are basically the black market of shinobi work. These jobs are outsourced to unofficial groups like the Akatsuki. Assassinations, sabotage, destabilizing an entire village, you name it. There's no fixed pay, just whatever the client is desperate or evil enough to offer. These missions don't exist on paper. The idea is simple. If a village doesn't want blood on their hands, they hire someone else to get them dirty. And nobody did this better, or worse, than the Akatsuki. In Shippuden, we see the start of their infamous Jinchuriki hunt. Villages, clients, or shadowy groups secretly hire them to capture tailed beasts. The Akatsuki go all in, attacking Suna, kidnapping Gaara, battling Naruto, and casually rewriting the balance of the shinobi world. Itachi fights Naruto. Deidara blows stuff up. You know, classic Akatsuki behavior. But here's the twist. Some of these guys weren't just villains. Itachi, for example, had secret motives tied to peace. These mercenary missions blur the lines between right and wrong. They show that the shinobi world isn't black and white. It's all shades of gray and smoke bombs. In Boruto, mercenary missions are rarer, but not gone. Kara operates in a similar space. Secret projects, off-the-books tech, morally gray experiments. They might wear lab coats instead of cloaks, but the vibe is very much Akatsuki 2.0. Mission evolution. Now let's pull back and look at the bigger picture, because ninja missions in Naruto and Boruto. Completely different beasts. In Naruto's era, missions were chaos with a side of trauma. You'd start a simple escort and end up fighting rogue ninjas with eye powers and tragic backstories. Case in point, the Tazuna mission. It began as a C-rank escort and turned into a near-A-rank nightmare with Zabuza, Haku, and existential despair on a bridge. Why? Because the world was still reeling from war. Trust was low, tensions were high. Villages were constantly on the edge of conflict. Missions were less about clean structure and more about survival. You were lucky if your team made it back, emotionally or physically intact. Now in Boruto's era, things are a bit more bureaucratic. Missions are carefully assigned to match ninja ranks. There's more paperwork, more planning, and a whole lot more tech. And while that sounds boring, like shinobi with clipboards, it actually reflects a peaceful, modern world. Missions focus on strategy, precision, and responsibility. Take Boruto Episode 71. Team 7 is assigned a C-rank mission to guard Tento Madoka. They handle it cleanly, professionally, and with smart tactics. Contrast that with Naruto's generation, where genin were basically tossed into live combat and told, good luck, don't die. The difference is clear. Naruto's missions built character through chaos. Boruto's missions build leadership through structure. And let's be honest, both systems have their pros and cons, but one thing stays the same: a true shinobi grows through challenge. Whether it's babysitting a cat, protecting a daimyo, or fighting aliens, the mission is always the mirror. It reflects who you are and who you're about to become. Carving. The simplest level of sealing jutsu is kind of like carving. Yeah, it doesn't really seal anything. It's more about leaving a mark. But since the official databook lists it as a sealing jutsu, I'm including it here. This technique lets the user focus chakra into their finger, heating it up enough to carve or write symbols directly onto a surface. You can inscribe anything you want, but it needs very precise chakra control to avoid messing it up. If you use it on living skin, it causes a bit of pain and leaves a permanent scar, which means the mark stays on the target for life. That makes it a quiet but long-lasting way to seal or tag something. Even though it's simple, the finger carving seal is a core skill in sealing jutsu. To use it properly, you need to be super careful and in control, or you could cause damage you didn't mean to. Basic object sealing. This is the ultimate art of being ready. It might not look flashy like some of those big destructive jutsu, but sealing objects is all about preparation. And honestly, that's where real power often hides. The enclosing technique lets you seal almost anything, items, creatures, even complex jutsu, into things like paper scrolls, tags, or any surface, really. You know those explosive tags? It's literally just sealing a mini explosion into a piece of paper. Crazy, right? Remember Kisame Hoshigaki? That dude once sealed an entire water prison with giant sharks inside into a scroll. If someone opened it without knowing, boom, instant trap, instant regret. That's the danger of something quiet and hidden. A warning: never underestimate someone who's prepared. Or take Tenten, for example. She didn't get much screen time, but she was absolutely a sealing beast. She could store tons of weapons and scrolls and summon them instantly. She literally spammed weapons non-stop. Her whole fighting style was about weapons, but like, no one's walking around with 100 swords on their back, right? Tenten kept it all sealed, ready to go. Even Sasori pulled out 100 puppets from his scrolls. And the god of shinobi carried a huge scroll full of weapons. So yeah, sealing stuff, low-key busted. In short, this level won't destroy your enemy directly, but it's strategically powerful. It shows that strength isn't just about brute force, it's about controlling space, time, and the fight itself. It's the first step toward having a sharp tactical mind. You might be alone, but you're always ready. And that's terrifying. If you've made it this far, congratulations. You've just survived a deep dive into the most cursed jutsu and forbidden science experiments in the Naruto universe. Chakra manipulation sealing. Now we're stepping into an even higher level. Chakra absorption and manipulation seals. This is where the truly powerful shinobi set themselves apart from the rest. You're not just blocking enemy jutsu anymore. You're completely absorbing them and making their chakra totally useless. Sounds a bit abstract? Don't worry, I got you. Remember when Itachi used Amaterasu during his standoff with Jiraiya? Those black flames are supposed to burn anything for a whole week, unless Itachi turns them off himself. So how did Jiraiya deal with it? He just sealed it into a scroll. That's it. Simple, clean. Sealing jutsu might look boring, but they're insanely versatile. But the true peak of this level, that's gotta be jutsu absorption using the Preta path. With this ability, you can literally absorb any ninjutsu, no matter how powerful it is. The chakra gets pulled into your body and turned into harmless energy. All those massive ranged attacks, totally useless. That glowing aura you see around the Preta path when he's absorbing techniques, yep, that's a sealing jutsu at work. We saw this in action when Nagato, through his 6 paths of pain, fully absorbed Naruto's Rasen Shuriken, one of Naruto's strongest moves at that time. Or when Pain casually absorbed Jiraiya's techniques during their fight in a Megakure. He just stood there like an invincible wall, calmly eating every attack, while his opponents slowly fell into despair. Unless, of course, you hit him with taijutsu. Let's be real, when Pain attacked the village, Might Guy wasn't there. But if he had seen Kakashi die, man, I swear, Pain would have gotten folded right there. Anyway, back to sealing, because this level goes even further. Some seals don't just absorb chakra, they manipulate it. Take the chakra draining seal, for example. This one lets you completely drain the chakra from your target, and then turn it into your own power. We saw Kabuto use this on Anko. But this wasn't a normal chakra drain. Anko had 2 types of chakra in her, hers and Orochimaru's. And Kabuto's seal was smart enough to only absorb Orochimaru's chakra, using it to boost his Edo Tensei army. That's some next-level precision. Then there's the 5-element seal, which is more like a surgical strike on someone's chakra system. Orochimaru used this seal on Naruto to completely mess with his chakra flow. It blocked Naruto from using the Nine Tails power, and even made it harder for him to use his own chakra properly. The result? Naruto, who had huge potential, suddenly became clumsy, weak, and stuck. No jutsu, no control, no progress, for a long time. Binding Seal. This level is all about focusing your sealing power and chakra to trap and completely shut down one specific target. It's not just a move, it's a full-on flex of personal control. You're not just catching someone, you're totally dominating the situation. Here's an example. There's a sealing move where you create thin red chakra threads, super light, but crazy strong. The moment your enemy steps into the seal's range, they get tied up and completely stuck. They don't even see it coming. It's like an invisible trap snapping shut. They can't fight back, they can't run, just pure control. Even puppets like the ones used by Granny Chio can pull off this kind of sealing. One of her best techniques was the sealing jutsu, lion closing roar. You draw a complex seal on a surface, throw it toward the target, and boom. Once they touch it, or even just get close, the seal locks up their chakra points, stopping them from using chakra completely. Sounds kinda like the Hyuga clan's Gentle Fist, right? Same result, chakra lockdown. Chio used this exact move with her lion-headed cannon puppet to trap Sasori during their fight. It didn't finish him off, but it took away all of his options. Which made sense, honestly. Sasori was basically immortal, so shutting him down was smarter than trying to break him. Even the Puppet Master legend Monzaman, the very first puppet user, used this kind of sealing to capture people. It proves something powerful. You don't have to win by brute strength. Just take away your enemy's power, their tools, their chakra, their movement, and they become helpless. No matter how strong they think they are, they're still just human when they can't move or use chakra. Even Iruka used a version of this kind of sealing. He tried it on Naruto once, but yeah, it didn't really work. Naruto broke out of it pretty easily, not gonna lie. Then you've got Killer Bee, who took this sealing style to the next level. Using his ink-bind octopus jutsu, he could trap up to 1,000 people at once, locking down their movements with his ink. Doesn't matter how many enemies there are. Once B decides to lock them down, they're not going anywhere. This type of sealing isn't about flashy explosions or deadly damage. It's about total control in a small area, turning you into the ultimate predator, while your enemies stand there, completely powerless. Suppression sealing. This level is where sealing jutsu stops being just physical and starts getting really scary. We're no longer talking about ropes, chains, or scrolls. Now, you're fighting something way deeper, the darkness inside a person. This kind of sealing is about holding back curses, controlling inner power, and silencing the monsters within someone's soul. Yeah, it sounds super intense, and it totally is. Here's a clear example. Back during the Chunin exams, Kakashi used a suppression seal on Sasuke's cursed seal of heaven. He drew a complex seal using blood, how metal is that, and placed it on Sasuke to keep the curse mark under control. This kind of sealing is meant to hold down dangerous, cursed powers or evil forces growing inside someone. But here's the catch. It only works if the person being sealed has a strong enough will. If they give in to the darkness, the seal can totally fail. Then there's the Cursed Tongue Eradication Seal, which is just wild. Danzo used this cruel jutsu to completely control his Root members. If anyone from Root tried to spill secrets about their missions, or Danzo himself, boom, the seal would activate. Instant paralysis. Total silence. Sai experienced this firsthand. He literally couldn't talk and could barely move. It's like a verbal landmine sitting in your throat, ready to go off the second you break the rules. These suppression seals aren't flashy. They're not about explosions or giant beasts, but they're deeply dangerous because they attack the mind, the soul, and the willpower of a person. Tailed Beast Binding Seals. Now, it's about locking down a force of nature. At this level, we're no longer dealing with normal shinobi. These are sealing techniques made to restrain the most destructive forces in the world. Imagine standing face to face with a giant living mass of raw chakra, a creature strong enough to destroy a village with one strike. Most people wouldn't survive. But sealing masters, they don't run. They face the beast and seal it away. The adamantine sealing chains from the Uzumaki clan are a perfect example of this power. These chains are made of super dense chakra, almost impossible to break. Kushina used them to hold down Kurama on the day Naruto was born. She didn't just protect the village, she sealed away a living apocalypse. And she did it while bleeding out, right after giving birth, with the tailed beast ripped from her. That's the kind of strength these seals represent. Even more terrifying were the demonic statue chains. Obito used them during the Fourth Great Ninja War to control multiple tailed beasts and their Jinchuriki at the same time. He was commanding living weapons of mass destruction with nothing but sealing chains. Madara pushed it even further. He used those same chains to drag all 9-tailed beasts into the Gedo statue, like they were just wild animals he was taming. And not all sealing jutsu look like traditional seals. Those giant torii gates inside Naruto's mind? Those were sealing structures too. They held Kurama in place and kept his power under control. Even Hashirama, the god of shinobi, once summoned dozens of torii gates to pin down the Ten Tails, and later hundreds more to suppress Madara himself. This level is where legends are made, where a single shinobi stands against the rage of nature itself and wins. Summoning Disruption Sealing. Everyone knows sealing jutsu is about locking something away, right? But what if you did the opposite? What if instead of sealing, you released something? Yep, that's totally possible, and it's already been done multiple times in the story. One example is the contract seal. This technique lets you break the connection between a summoner and the creature they summoned. It instantly frees the creature from the summoner's control. Remember when Minato used it to cut off Kurama from Tobi's Sharingan? He didn't just save the village, he stole the enemy's trump card and flipped the entire fight. Hashirama also used a similar move once, releasing Kurama from Madara's control and even calming it down. And it doesn't stop there. At a more advanced level, there are complex releasing techniques. These are powerful rituals that don't just free someone from control. They pull sealed beings out of people's bodies, or even from other dimensions, and make them usable again. Sounds familiar, right? Sasuke used the evil releasing method to pull Orochimaru out of the cursed seal on Anko's neck. Even more extreme, Orochimaru literally cut open the belly of the Reaper to bring back the past Hokage who had been sealed away. That was insane, dark, and ridiculously powerful. Sealing techniques at this level are super strategic, especially in big wars or when fighting enemies who rely on summoned beasts. They let you turn the tide of battle instantly, either by removing the biggest threat on the field, or, better yet, by making it fight for you. Soul sealing. We've gone through sealing techniques, from basic to advanced, but now it's time to enter the level where power and death are fully connected. This is soul sealing, and it's not for the weak. When you face an enemy that can't be beaten by normal means, when everything and everyone you love is on the line, this is the kind of jutsu that demands total sacrifice. I'm talking about the Reaper Death Seal. This forbidden jutsu can rip out anyone's soul, legends, monsters, even tailed beasts like Kurama. Kurama isn't just chakra, he's a thinking, feeling being. He has a soul. And the Shinigami, the death god, loves to feast on souls. That's the price. When Minato faced Kurama attacking the Hidden Leaf, he summoned the Shinigami and made a deadly deal. Half of Kurama's soul would be sealed inside him. But in return, Minato's own soul would be trapped inside the Shinigami's belly forever. It was absolute insurance. Kurama would be stopped, but Minato would never come back. Hiruzen, the third Hokage, did the same when he fought Orochimaru. He used the Reaper Death Seal to take Orochimaru's arms, stealing his ability to use jutsu. He even tried to seal the souls of his own former teachers, the first and second Hokage. That's why this level is called the Ultimate, because it's unbelievably powerful, but it also demands a level of courage, loyalty, and willpower that only the greatest warriors could ever carry. Cosmic and Divine Sealing. We've explored sealing techniques from the basic to the ultimate, but now we've reached the final level, where the line between human and God completely disappears. This is the realm of beings who don't just use power, they are the power. Cosmic and Divine Sealing isn't for just anyone. This is the absolute peak. Only those who've gone beyond human limits can even get close. At this point, you're no longer just a ninja. You're something far greater. Of course, we're talking about the power of the Otsutsuki clan. Let's look at the Six Paths Chibaku Tensei. This isn't some regular sealing jutsu. When Hagoromo and Hamura used it to seal the Ten Tails, they didn't just trap it, they created the moon itself. That's right, they made a whole celestial body just to use it as a prison. That's not just sealing, that's creation-level power. Only gods can do something like that. Later, Naruto and Sasuke, blessed with Six Paths power, did something just as insane. They sealed Kaguya, the rabbit goddess, and the origin of all chakra once again. And before all that, Madara literally summoned dozens of Chibaku Tensei meteors, a whole rain of moons. He wasn't even using sealing jutsu as a defense anymore. It was full-blown mass destruction. And finally, we have Kama, a seal that goes beyond death. Kama is a special mark, kind of like the Byakugu seal, but on a totally different level. It stores the compressed biological data of an Otsutsuki. Once it's placed on a compatible host, that host becomes a vessel. Over time, Kama changes the host's DNA, slowly turning them into a perfect Otsutsuki. If an Otsutsuki dies, their soul transfers into the vessel, and once the transformation is complete, they're fully reborn, taking over the body completely. This isn't just a jutsu, it's a full immortality system created by the Otsutsuki. When Jigen was preparing to bring Ishiki back, when Boruto was fighting against Momoshiki's takeover, we saw a literal battle between human will